the award-winning Scene Magazine Best Podcast Patreon episode, Mondays with MAZUR, with Tony MAZUR, Chad Zumock. Thank you for listening. First and foremost, thank you to SilkCityHotSauce.com, where you can use the promo code Zumock to get 15% off your order of the Z-Man's Mango Madness, Florida's greatest tropical sauce. I am all out. Gone. 86. I was gone first show in Fort Myers this Friday with Jim Florentine. So thanks to everyone that came out to Port Charlotte and Fort Myers. It was a lot of fun. I know I talked to Tony. We did the football podcast, which you can go sign up for, patreon.com/Misery Loves Football. And Tony was on last week's episode with Florentine and Ken Mosca. You were in Hilton Head. How was that?
Well, as you can see by my hat, I am the captain now.
Oh, wait. Keep this thing going. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Yeah. I've got I think Chad's getting some more Silk City hot sauce at the door. But I am the captain now. I'm enjoying my nautical life of not wanting to return mentally, going all the way back to Ohio. And no, I'm in a Carolina state of mind at this point. I will say I did like Florida, though. I did like Florida over Hilton Head, like going to Key West and like Fort Lauderdale and everything. But Hilton Head was neat if you have families, or if you're like Ken Mosca's age, for example. You would enjoy that a little bit more. If you're raging 20, 30 something, keep your Hilton Head's not bad. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
But not the most exciting place. Kind of like when you said you were in Myrtle Beach recently, and there's some stuff to do, but it's not the greatest place depending on your demographic.
No, if you like Bar Louie's, Hard Rock Cafes, Dave and Buster's, Myrtle Beach is the place for you. You got to go. You like Ferris wheels, cotton candy, funnel cakes. It's a great place. Great place. But, it's very family vacation-y.
We're just going full nautical today. I've got, I was playing, there's a place in Hilton Head called Harbor Town. So I was playing the Brandy by Looking Glass. You're a Fine Girl. And yeah, I had my Christopher Cross soundtrack, my live CD. It was Sailing and the Arthur's theme and the Ride Like the Wind, of course.
Ride Like the Wind. Great song.
All Right, another great song. All right, think we're gonna make it. So I enjoyed myself immensely with that. Now I'm back to work and back to the podcast grind and everything, but I'm still drinking. I'm on, let's see, 14, 15, 16, day 17 in a row of drinking.
Jesus Christ.
But it's like, it's not trashed every day. It's like having an adult, like one beverage. This might actually be, this Corona I'm drinking right now might be it for the day.
No, that's great. I mean, you're enjoying your life. Every time I see photos on Facebook, I go, Tony is enjoying his life. He's just having a good time.
Yeah, and that's the misconception, because like with my, so I put out a podcast today because I wrote a bunch of notes down. And so last week we went down to Nick DiPaolo's new hometown of Savannah.
Oh, did you see Nick?
I didn't get a chance to see Nick. Nick was actually, I think he was out for the first couple of days. And yes, just the greatest SCTV. Just I got, every time I watch this, I go down a wormhole.
It's so funny. It's just one of my, I'll never stop laughing at this ever. Yeah, I'm not going to play the audio because I don't want to get kicked off YouTube and demonetized. But if you get a chance, I actually uploaded it to my YouTube page. It's Michael McDonald, a tribute to the greatest backing vocalist of all time. All right.
I'm going to go see Michael McDonald's actually touring with the Doobie Brothers this summer.
Oh, well, they had a couple collaborations, so that's going to happen.
Yeah, it keeps you running, and a lot of those great Doobie Brothers songs. So I'm going to go wear my yachting attire and head to go see the Doobie Brothers.
Go see the Doobie Brothers. Because I wanted to go see ZZ Top in November. They're coming over to Seminole, and I mean, they're still going to tour from what I hear, but still, it's just like another one bites the dust.
So have you never seen ZZ Top before?
I've never seen them. I've seen I just want to see all the legends, and unfortunately, I keep coming up short.
So I decided to go on the Legends tour the last few years to go see these bands. Now, I saw ZZ Top several years ago, and from what I remember, I think it may have been a pre-recorded concert, like they might have lip sync.
Really?
I found out some info that they were doing that a lot back in like the early 2000s, of just doing pre-taped concerts where Frank Beard, the drummer who doesn't have the beard, ended up playing a lot of the, he's playing along with the tracks, but Reverend Willie G and Dusty Hill, that they were just kind of just mailing it in at that point. And I kind of noticed that where, because you've seen Hall & Oates and I've seen Hall & Oates, and they're just cashing in a check. It's like you want to see them, but you're not seeing the greatest show in the world. Like you're not seeing Hall & Oates in 1981. You're seeing them in 2021, where they're just, all right, they want to hear Sarah smile. They want to hear this. Okay, we'll play this. And then they get off.
It's just nostalgia, and they're like constantly changing the tempos of the song. They'll like turn.
Oh, I fucking hated that.
Private Eyes into reggae. I'm like, come on, dude, just play the fucking song the right way. I get you're bored, but we're not.
It's what it is. You're a jukebox. Play my nostalgic jukebox for me, Daryl. And forget. And then what's the other band? Fleetwood Mac I saw a couple of years ago, but they didn't have Lindsey Buckingham. They had Mike Campbell, who's the guitarist from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. He played the Lindsey Buckingham guitar parts. This is how talented he is. And that Lindsey Buckingham is that they needed two guys to do his parts. So Mike Campbell's doing his parts, and then Neil Finn, the lead singer of Crowded House, is doing the vocal parts for, like Don't Stop and some of the other male parts that you're hearing in Fleetwood Mac. And I mean, which Neil Finn, Don't Dream It's Over and Crowded House is really cool, but it's like, it wasn't the full classic lineup of Fleetwood Mac. And of course, there was no Peter Green or Bob Welch in there either. So
I just listened to Lindsey Buckingham on Marin. It was on Marin last week, and I was just at the gym. I was down in Fort Myers, bored. Just I'll listen to Lindsey Buckingham, and it's amazing. That band has so much success. They've gone through so much turmoil, ups and downs, fucking each other, and rising above it for but after 40 years, they kick out Lindsey Buckingham.
Yeah, they finally fire him.
Yeah, after 40 years. You're literally, they're on borrowed time right now. They're all going to die soon. Let's kick them out now. Let's regroup.
Yeah, man,
like, you're almost dead. Make it work.
You finally said, you know what? I can't take him anymore. Get out. But I mean, that's a band that, they were all fucking each other. The cocaine addictions. Like, I guess here's a classic MMS story. So they were a favorite on WMMS back in the day, your old station, when they actually played music.
By the way, Stevie Nicks was born in 1948. She's 73 years old. What are you fighting about? Like, what argument? Make it work.
So there's the classic Stevie Nicks, that she did so much cocaine that she wore out the septum in her nose, that I guess the rumors are that she had to do it anally.
What were the rumors?
Yes, rumors with a U, with two U's. And she had to shove it up her ass just so she can ingest cocaine again, because it's going in that mucous membrane.
By the way, young Stevie Nicks, I would shove cocaine up her ass. Oh, yeah. Back late 70s Stevie Nicks, I will shove the shit out of it.
Yeah, the gold dust woman. Where does the gold dust come from?
The Edge of 17. I'll go that far.
Lord.
83.
Oh, man, that was, and because MMS gave them hand painted by David Helton. David Helton.
Sure.
He redesigned the Buzzard, and they did hand painted. I think they were Buzzard and the penguin logo that Fleetwood Mac had of these mirrors. And I guess Christine McVie said, we're just gonna wear the mirrors down, strip it down to the paint with the amount of cocaine they were doing. But hey, that was rock and roll. What's today's rock and roll? Dancing on TikTok is rock and roll now, and to the point where seeing Rage Against the Machine is going to be dad music, like right now. That's what dads do. Dads are going to go see Rage Against the Machine. Oh, you have fun, Dad. I'll be here with the babysitter and playing video games. You have fun seeing your Rage Against the Machine tonight. Boy, is that sad.
I mean, I looked at Lollapalooza's lineup over the weekend, and it's just, with the exception of the Foo Fighters, it was like Miley Cyrus and like two fucking rappers I never even heard of.
Oh, so you mean like Perry Farrell and Jane's Addiction and Butthole Surfers? Yeah,
those days are over.
Oh, God, this is a great performance.
The Midnight Special, Fleetwood Mac, Rihanna. Go check it out.
They jam Lindsey Buckingham jams midway through that song. It's way better than the studio version. And
then so does she. She like gets so possessed by the music, and she's like, you're feeling it. I mean, she's a great front woman.
And you see her kind of squinch her nostrils a little bit throughout it. Like she's got so much coke in her nose and she's just got to let it work. Got to get a couple extra gackers in her.
I think she was an attractive woman, I think.
She's a good looking lady until, she ended up looking like Sally Struthers.
Now she looks like she ate Stevie Nicks. That's the old fucking, that's a hack bit, but it's a podcast. I'm not doing stand-up. Fuck everybody.
Yeah, we're doing a Zoom comedy show.
Yeah, this is the Nowhere Comedy Club with Ben Glebe. You got to give it up for Lindsey Buckingham's afro there.
He looks like Anthony Cumia, the young Anthony Cumia.
He does.
The rot gut Anthony Cumia.
How crazy was it that this band has been all kinds of versions? It started out as a blues band, and it was genius on Mick Fleetwood's part, hearing Buckingham and Nicks and going, that's what we need for the band. And it worked.
It was perfect, especially when you talk to all these millennials who are like, well, I like the classic Fleetwood Mac with Stevie Nicks. And they're like, that's the classic, but that's not the original. Like they always talk about the original lineup. The original lineup was this like gritty blues group who toured with Jimi Hendrix and people back in London in the late 60s. And instead you're like, oh no, the classic one who did the song with the guy on the back of the truck with the cranberry juice last year.
No, you like the famous Fleetwood Mac, not the original. Like what made them famous?
Yeah, Black Magic Woman. oh well is another. What's the band, or what are the bands you've seen the most?
Probably the Chili Peppers and the Beastie Boys, two of my favorite bands.
So you've seen Chili Peppers how many times?
Let's see. Man, that's a good question. At least
I've seen them. Oh Jesus, 8.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I've seen them twice, and I've seen them with John and without John, and obviously the with John show is much better. I think you were actually at both of those shows too.
I saw Rage 4 times, and each concert was amazing. I saw the Beastie Boys. I saw them at Cleveland State and in Akron. I saw them somewhere else. Oh, the Tibetan Freedom concert in Washington, D.C. The very first one. That was great. I saw the Chili Peppers there too. That's when they had just got John back in the band. He just came back from his heroin addiction.
Okay.
Right after one had, they weren't even, it was like a surprise, like Pearl Jam, because they canceled them the night before. They played the 930 Club, and Pearl Jam played their set, and everyone was kind of walking out. We're going to try to beat traffic. And all of a sudden, Chili Peppers came out playing Power of Equality, and we were going crazy.
Yeah, that's wow. That's you were telling me about that, and I think there's some video of that show somewhere. I'm looking here because I'm on setlist.fm, and I record all the bands that I've seen and their set lists and everything. I'm like that obsessed.
No, I like Guns N' Roses just went back on tour, and I'm so curious because they've been milking that set list for years already, and it's the same fucking set list. I was like, there's no reason to go see them. I've already seen them twice with this band, and it's a 3-hour concert. Great songs, but I already seen that show.
So I'm looking here at the most artists I've seen. I've seen the band. So do you remember Local H?
No.
They did the song that it's called Bound for the Floor, came out in the mid 90s. I know you know this. Everyone knows the song. Where it's that, and you just don't get it. Keep it copacetic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen them because they're good dudes, and I've seen them a bunch of times just because they've been at smaller venues. I've seen 311 8 times. And a lot of these are just kind of accidental because they've been at music festivals. So the band I've seen the third most, and I've never seen them actually at a concert, like where I said, I'm going here because I want to see them, is Papa Roach. Now, Papa Roach puts on a great show, but I've never once said, oh my God, I can't wait for Papa Roach tonight. It's usually been, okay, who's playing tonight? Okay, Slash with Miles Kennedy. That's cool. And Cypress Hill is going to be Papa Roach. Yeah, sure. Why not?
I hung out with that dude, that lead singer. I have his phone number. What's that
Jacoby.
guy's name? Yeah.
Jacoby.
Because he was at, what's the thing in Columbus that we go to?
Well, it used to be called Rock on the Range.
Yeah, Rock on the Range, Sonic Temple. I hung out with him. He wasn't even playing. He was there because of his merchandise, and we were just talking. And I ended up hanging out with him and having drinks, and he was cool. And I think it was cool because I'm not a fan of that band. No offense. Like, they're all right.
Yeah.
And I just didn't care who he was. And I think that kind of came off like that. Like, okay, if I was a fan, I'd be freaking out, but I don't know who the fuck you are. But I know you're a big deal because you're signing autographs.
Do you think they like that? Do you think I mean, Papa Roach has been around for like 20 years, and that Jacoby probably is one of those guys where he can talk to somebody, and it's like afterward they say, hey, you know who you were talking to? That's the guy from Papa Roach. Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I don't know. I did that with Vernon Reed. I was just talking to him and not realizing he was the guitar player in A Living Color. Because he knows comedy and he loves podcasts. So we were just talking comedians and and then I put 2 and 2 together. I go, oh shit, wait, because Corey Glover comes walking over. I'm like, wait, okay. But I kept it cool.
Let's see. I've seen Chevelle 5 times. That's mostly. I think I saw them once because I really wanted to, and others they were opening for bands.
I've seen Chevelle a lot, but just by accident, just because I was there and they happened to be there.
I've seen the band Roger Klein and the Peacemakers. They used to be called the Refreshments, and they're the ones who do the theme from King of the Hill, and they do the Banditos song, also came out in the mid-90s. Korn, I've seen them 4 times. I saw Korn when I was in high school, and they were just fucking great. And then the rest of the times it's, oh, Korn's playing tonight. I guess I'll stick around. I'll see them. Seether, I really like Seether. I think they put on good shows. I've seen Foo Fighters 4 times. And a bunch of bands like 3 times, like Godsmack, Tool, a lot of them. It's like, okay, that sounds good. I'll go see them. But Tool's one of those bands that I had to grow to appreciate because I liked them, but I thought their shows were just, oh my God, get it over with.
Yeah, they're cool. I'm not a big fan, but I appreciate them. Actually,
not like our boy Hot Carl, who I think he has a Tool tattoo.
Oh, that's cool. You know what band I've seen the most play out of any other band in the world? I just realized.
Who's that?
Tricky Dick and the Cover-Ups.
Yes. Have you seen Disco Inferno or maybe the Spasmatics too?
They might be right on a close second. By the way, those are local Cleveland bands. That's just for like our little Cleveland audience that we give them a little something.
You know, there's a band there. They call themselves Boaterhead. They're a local yacht rock cover band in Cleveland, and they're called Boaterhead. They were formerly known as Yachtly Crew, and they're good guys, but they're like dads, and like I think the female in the group who sings like the Captain and Tennille type of parts, that she's married to the drummer or something, but they're like good people and it's a fun time. It's just like, yep. Then we're going to hear Baker Street, and then we're going to hear Into the Night as we played a couple of weeks ago, Benny Mardones and everything. It's, those local bands. And I got to say, when things shut down and these bands that we really wanted to see were not touring, it was nice to see some of the local bands that come out and say, all right, well, look, we don't have the luxury of having our album royalties and living off of those. We got to tour. We got to play your local bar and grill. And they would play. And yeah, you're going to hear the same Journey and Bon Jovi songs, but it's okay. And, as much as we kind of look at that and we, oh, great, we're going to go see the Spasmatics tonight. We're going to go see the Tricky Dick and the Cover-Ups. It's like, all right, well, hey, they're working. They're hustling. And it's the same with comics. The comics did that too.
No, Florentine and I, over the weekend, we went, after our shows, we went to this place, this cool venue, because we wanted to go see this Van Halen tribute band, but it was already like sold out or whatever the situation. So somebody told us to go to this other venue. We saw this cover band who was playing rock, and they were amazing. Like the lead guitarist was just going nuts. You could tell they were really, really good musicians. The front man was great, and we were just enjoying ourselves. And then the very next night, there was a Kiss cover band, and those could be a little sketchy, but they were great. They're probably better than Kiss. Like the guy who was playing Ace Frehley he was amazing. He was nailing every note, and they were playing all these obscure Kiss songs. I'm not a big Kiss fan, but I just I appreciated what they were doing. I go, hey man, if you're never going to see Kiss again, go see these guys. Yeah,
exactly. Well, you got to go see a ZZ Top cover band now.
I'll go see any cover band if they could pull it off like that.
There's speaking of ZZ Top, I was watching a video because they posted
Legs.
I was gonna say it's a whole live from 1980, and it was of the guys playing like a concert. This was before Sharp Dressed Man and Legs and all those Gimme All Your Lovin' came out. So they were playing a lot of like I'm Bad, I'm Nationwide, LaGrange, and you see these. I mean, it's ZZ Top. They got the beards. But it's like beards really make you older, because I realized holy shit, these guys look like they're 50 something and they were younger than what I am today.
Really? In those
and
videos?
It's like, they got, oh yeah, it's like Bucharest, I think it is, 1980s ZZ Top, and they've got like gray in their beard and they look like old men then. And I'm like, they're 31 years old.
I remember 2011 at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony when I was there with Florentine. We were backstage, and I saw the bass player who just died, Dusty. I forgot his last name.
Dusty Hill.
And that was 2011. I go, dude, that dude looks like he's almost dead. Like he was barely getting by. I was like, this was like almost 10 years ago. And I'm like, oh, he just died now?
He was only 72. It wasn't like he was 92. He was 72.
Dude, that's how old Stevie Nicks is right now.
Yeah, that's when you notice like guys like Bowie and Glenn Frey who died. It's like, yeah, that was a hard life they lived in the 1970s. All that cocaine's going to catch up to you at some point.
It's a hell of a drug. It's a hell of a drug. Speaking of cocaine, I guess the Ski Mask Collective is in shambles.
What happened? What's the update? Because here are the updates since we last did our podcast last week on Misery Loves Football. Is Kumi has gotten kicked off of Twitter a couple of times. Gino got kicked off of Twitter, and now there's the ski mask thing that's going on.
Well, apparently I get messages, and it's funny because this. I mean, I don't need to do the setup. This open micer kid, this degenerate kid from Texas. He came into my life during quarantine. It was like, and he was pretending like he was doing an MLC wrap-up show, and Kevin Brennan for some reason bought into it. Like, I don't know, he just bought into it. And plus we didn't have anything going on, so we would do a show, and he started trying to become a shock jock. He started trying to puppeteer people, and he was doing some shady shit, and I just got a bad vibe from him. I wasn't feeling it. And but it got to the point where I was like, all right, fuck this dude. He's a piece of shit. I go, what's his credentials? Who is he? The only reason I went on a show is Kevin asked me to. And because Kevin and I went on a show, he was able to get other guests. And then Gino goes on a show, Chrissy Mayer. Then Chrissy Mayer tries to have, them all working for her because she's on Compound Media. Well, anyways, long story short, no, I was like, I don't like this kid. I don't like anything about him. So I blocked him. I was like, I don't want this dude in my life. He had my number. I blocked that number. And then I find out all the shit he's been saying behind my back and doing. And long story short, I was like, I'm telling you, dude, this dude's going to come crashing down one day. And it's happening because Gino hates him. And like, there's a million comics. I was on a text thread with some very important people, probably his heroes, who are aware who he is. And they're not a fan. And I think he gets off on like, oh, they knew who I am. Well, it's not a good thing. They know who you are. Trust me. All your good, everything that you were working towards is gone. It's gone. So that stuff, I guess, between Gino and him is true. Like Gino doesn't like the kid, doesn't want him around. And they had that secret show over the weekend. And I guess the ski mask guy didn't show up. And I guess he was dating, I don't know the whole intertwined dynamic. He was dating the guy he's living with sister. And now he like broke up their relationship and with his own baggage. And he's probably manipulating both of them. So this kid's life is just falling apart. And all his heroes hate him now. Like Kumi doesn't like, nobody likes him. And it's just, I'm enjoying it because I called it.
That's honestly, and can we say his name? Do you want to say his name?
No, I don't want to give him, fuck him. He's a nobody. treat him like a nobody.
So I got a chance. So you've never actually met him in person, right?
No, I don't. That's another thing. I don't know him. I don't know him. I just know the shitty things he's done to me.
So I was in Atlantic City and I got a chance to meet Ski Mask and I met Mead. I didn't get a chance to meet Jim Stansel because I think he was getting alcohol or I don't know, maybe Coke. I'm not sure what he was doing, but I couldn't find him.
Before you go any further, I think that Mead dude's like, you could tell he has some intelligence to him and he's pretty quick witted. He has some funny tweets here and there. And I think the Ski Mask dude conned those dudes into doing the show and giving it a likability factor. And I have a feeling Mead and Stansel are good dudes, but they got conned by this kid from Texas and he's kind of dragging them down. Like, but I think they're wising up to it. I think they're getting smart enough to the situation. Like, maybe we should just kind of back away from this dude.
Well, isn't that what Paul Fens did too?
I think so. Yeah. Cause they were talking about firing him and he's just real two-faced dude. He's really shitty.
Yeah, so I got a chance to meet him, and if he's listening right now, I mean, like, I have nothing against the dude. I think he's, I think what
I don't either. I just think he's a piece of shit.
You had something ambitious, and you had me on your pod. If you're listening right now, you're watching this, you had me on your podcast a couple of times and had a good time. I mean, it was a good time, good conversation.
I didn't have fun on there. They wouldn't shut the fuck up.
Well, that was when I was on that one, when it was just him. It was just him and I was actually asking him questions about his addictions and his problems down in Texas. But this was back again when he was in Texas. And when he moved to Connecticut, it just kind of took over a little bit and like kind of wanted to be the Mike Figs role on Chrissy Mayer's show. Who moves
to fucking Connecticut
during the pandemic?
During a shutdown. It's like right there's a red flag. Like get away from this dude.
I think what you got to do if you're listening is probably got to sober up, make some apologies, say, look, I have baggage. I came from Texas. I have baggage. I have a fucked up family life, everything. And I said, Aaronberg's not funny. Aaronberg is incredibly funny. He's one of the funniest people on the planet. I don't know what I was thinking during that. Rich Voss is hilarious. He's the reason a lot of us are doing comedy or doing anything in this. That to say things, look, and I say this as somebody,
and to think that he's our equal, like he's not, he has no body of work he has not put in the time, the hours to the craft to pop off the mouth with guys who know, we have this brotherhood, this bond, we could tell who's a real comic and who's not. And he's not. It's like
I feel interesting because we kind of pull rank in a little bit, but you and I have done this. I've been in radio now almost 15 years. I've been doing stand-up for about 8 years. It's a body
of work. It's a body of work that you don't have, and you need to recognize that. It's not like I played basketball and I'm not that good. It's like I go play with NBA players. Like, pass me the ball. They're like, oh, fuck yourself. We're the one who put all the hours in. Like, we're the good players. You're not good.
It's about context, because you can say, you don't have to think Aaronberg is funny. You could think maybe his characters are a little over the top or whatever. That's fine. But it's understanding, if you want to be in this arena, you have to understand that there are certain people that you're probably going to, I'm not going to say even kiss ass. Just don't say anything. And it's weird for me because I have not kept my mouth shut. That's how I've gotten fired from jobs. That's how I've lost work over time. So I know it sounds kind of hypocritical of me to say that, but when you want to be in that arena, there are certain people and there's certain codes of ethics that you kind of just say, look, this guy, all my heroes look up to this guy and are friends with this guy. Probably my best shot not to step on toes. You can say, hey, I think Stephen Colbert is an asshole. Because I do, I think but I'm not in that arena. Like, somebody can say, hey, no, he's actually a really nice guy. He's just kind of playing a part. That's fine. But he's way above that.
I have no connection to Stephen Colbert. I don't have no, so like, if you're around us, cause we're very accessible. It's like, it's not that hard to come to a show. It's not that hard to come to a secret show or hang out. We're around. We're not like we're not like millionaire comics. We're not fucking Bert Kreischer and Joe Rogan.
Like, I'll tell you this, there are people in the compound media, gas digital, like all of what we enjoy, all of us in this Misery Loves Company kind of universe. There are certain comics that I don't find the funniest on the planet, but you don't see me going on Twitter and saying, like, if I didn't find your comedy that funny, I'm not going out there and saying, well, Chad sucks. I don't really like his comedy. No, that's not the case. It's one of those where you just, if you want to be around this and you really idolize some people, you have to just shut your mouth. I mean, it's again, hypocritical, I guess, in one way for me to tell people what to say and what not to, because I'm somebody who's made a living off of spouting off and doing whatever. And that's what I have a whole Patreon for. Yeah. But there are certain comics, and I'm not going to name them, that I'm like, okay, I like them personally. I've hung out with them. I've drank with them. I've had a good time. That their comedy is lacking a little bit. You're allowed to think that. It's human nature. But if you're going out there and saying, I find this comic incredibly unfunny, he's boring, he's hacky, he's whatever, then you go, then you don't want to be in that universe. Then.
And here's I'll use another example. Whitney Cummings. I spout off on her for a personal situation because I was friends with her. I started mics with her. I did shows on her. I was at the Hollywood Improv. I was on a lineup with her. So we're peers. You know, she's way more successful, and she's, I mean, beyond more. I'm not even in the same stratosphere, but I'll talk shit because she knows who I am. First name. She has my phone number. She knows how to contact me. Bert Kreischer, same way. I've been to his house. I've been on his podcast. I've been in a car driving around the country. I've been on a plane with him. I've been in the green room with him. He knows me. He knows my middle name. So it's a different, because he's my peer. This kid is not my peer. Yeah. He's a fan who opened up a Zoom account that I recommend you should quit paying for. If I was you, delete the Twitter, work the day job, move back to Texas, start over.
Or just take the mask off.
Which is dumb. It's retarded.
Hey, he had the mask on before everyone was wearing masks.
The fans are turning against him too, because they're catching on. Like, you can't fake the funk. You can't pretend you're something, because eventually, if you don't have any fucking background in this, if you don't have any history in doing this or a body of work, you're going to get exposed. And that's exactly what happened. Rack me.
So that's, and I'm sure people probably at the beginning, before you kind of, I don't want to say clarified, but when you said Whitney Cummings or Bert Kreischer, those are people that had there's a personal vendetta. So you're allowed to feel, Patton Oswalt is another example.
By the way, you just named 3 multimillionaires, comedians. Yeah. I am not a multimillionaire comedian. I'm not even a fucking 100,000-aire right now. So it's like, know your role.
There's certain people, like there was an MLC, I think it was about a year ago or 2 years ago, where you said something about Taylor Tomlinson, and Kevin was like, "Oh, why are you kissing her ass? Why are you kissing Taylor Tomlinson's ass?" But look what she's touring theaters right now. She's doing small theaters, but she's doing theaters right now. She's really blowing up in the comedy world.
She's going to be the next big thing, and she's only 25. She's about to be a millionaire.
Yeah. So it's like, there are certain people you don't have to you've opened for her. You've done a bunch of shows with her. You don't have to find her, and I'm using her as an example. You don't have to find her funny to understand that, hey, maybe there's a chance that she could help your career.
I find her funny for her age and for what.
Yeah.
Out of most female comics, of course, she's way funnier. I can name names of other comics that she's not. I think she's funnier than Whitney, period.
But when you're sounding off on comics, you're doing so because there is a reason to do so. Like, I'm not going to sit there and just talk, let's say, like, Jim Florentine, his stand-up isn't as good as it used to be. And it's like, then I'm going to have whether it's Jim Florentine himself or his fans go, "What the fuck, man? You don't think he's funny?" And just like, "Oh shit." So you can't do that. Now, by the way, I find Jim to be one of the funniest comics on the planet. And I'm not just saying that as bullshit knowing him. He's extremely funny. His podcast is great. And I love doing shows with him and getting to know him over the years. So that's what happens, is you build up that relationship, whether it is online, whether it's a fanship or fanhood, and then it could become a friendship if you want to be in this arena. So there was a chance that Ski Mask, if he was able to, I don't want to even say keep your mouth shut, but you want to build that brand. He got to a point where he was a guest on In Hot Water. That's the second most viewed show on Compound Media. And you got to that level. You want to keep it going, right?
You got to that level and you haven't earned it. Like, you haven't worked, like you've done a couple open mics and you figured out how to manipulate, and whether it was luck and who you knew get there, and you burned it, you ruined it. And that was my thing. Like, the dude never showed me fucking respect. And there was an altercation that happened with me last week with a comedian. And I will not name their name because I like this person. I have no vendetta against them. And I was upset they were upset with me. So
Neil Brennan.
Yes. And now that's why I left Misery Loves Company, because I'm joining How Neil Feel. And I'm the new co-host. I kicked the black chick.
That's not what it's called, is it?
I swear to God. How Neil Feel. You don't like it?
Hang on, let me finish this beer.
You don't like it? How Neil Feel? What don't you like about it, Tony? I'm just curious. It's called How Neil Feel.
I might need another beer after that. Jesus Christ.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like I want to become an alcoholic just listening to that.
That's Neil may not feel what you feel, but I understand what you're feeling.
Can we talk about something fun right now?
Sure.
Because we're talking about comedy and shitting on stuff. Can you please pull up a little bit of the big three?
Oh, yeah.
We've wanted to talk about this for a while, the Perry Project. Now, you want to tell people what the Perry Project is?
All right.
For people who don't know.
if you love comedy and you love me and you love Tony, you love this podcast, I cannot recommend this movie enough. It's on YouTube. It's for free. It's one of the funniest movies ever made. It's called Windy City Heat. Now, Windy City Heat, it's a movie about a guy who is completely delusional. I don't even know what his thing is. He's just an idiot. And Don Barris, Comedy Store regular, has been fucking with this guy for years. He saw him
because isn't the background he was at the Comedy Store in Westwood. That's how long ago that was. And Perry did something to piss Don off because Perry's wanting to be a star. And he did something to piss Don Barris off at that open mic they were doing, that Don basically made it his life's mission to fuck with this guy.
Because he could tell the guy's completely delusional. He's full of himself. I mean, he's just everything, like he's a narcissist, but he's also a fucking idiot. And he's like one of these guys you can fuck with, and nobody can fuck with anybody better than Don Barris. So Jimmy Kimmel, when he was cool, kind of caught on to this, what was going on. And they pitched an idea to let's go ahead. We'll make this big elaborate movie production that he's starring in, that he auditions for and stars in. But it's all a gag. They're just fucking with this guy. It's not a real movie. The movie's them making a movie about fucking with him, but it's a must see. It's one of the funniest things ever. And I know Don Barris. I know Perry. I've met him, and it's one of the funniest movies ever.
Can we please get one of them on here? I would love to. I don't know how because I know you've reached out to Perry in the past, and so have I. I mean, I might even send him a cameo just to say if he could do my podcast.
I'll reach out to Don. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I'll send him a message. I know Don works for Jimmy Kimmel and all that, but Don's pretty accessible. I can.
Don, you introduced me to Don Barris. We were at the Comedy Store one night. I think we were waiting for Judah Friedlander to go on stage. And you're like, hey, Tony, it's my friend Don. And he's like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, as in Don Barris, as in the Big Three, as in the Perry Project, Windy City Heat. Of course I know who you are. It was like I completely fangirled over him.
And it's just one of those movies, like it's such a cult following. It has such a cult following. And it's one of those movies that people like to this day still catch on, and they're like, oh, how did I miss this? And there's so many inside jokes, a million of them. Like this guy,
so there's Mole,
who basically is some guy dressed up as a fake character, and Perry's so dumb doesn't realize this guy's like a fake character.
Yeah, Tony Barbieri, who, by the way, was a Mad Magazine writer, and he's written for Jimmy Kimmel and done a lot of that stuff. And yeah, it's like, the outtakes. I think you're going to have to play the outtakes, or not the outtakes. Was it the special features when they were finally watching?
It was the viewing party at his house. I wish I could play the audio. I think I could play the audio.
Yeah, you can play. Yeah, I think you can.
But I don't think you can hear it though.
I can hear a little bit.
You're gonna change your whole identity because your look. You don't look Italian in any way, shape, or form. Mole is looking for attention, and Mole is wanting attention like I get.
That's Perry, by the way.
Yeah, let me get to the part where they come to his house.
Oh, at the trophy.
And him going crazy because
that's all the sausage we get. Yeah, you got a problem with that? You're lucky I'm feeding you. We're gonna watch this movie. We're gonna like Perry's kick-ass way of life. Don, use the fork. Wait for us out of you, dude. God damn it, Mole or Don, I don't want you puking again. I've eaten the spaghetti again, and last time I was here 6 years ago, you showed me how to do it. Now, the way you do it, Dan, is boy, he's hungry, huh?
Look at Perry.
Bathroom. Go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom.
They're at Perry's apartment in Reseda right there. Yeah, where's the part with the trophy? I think it's towards the beginning.
Yeah, let's get to that part.
I don't like what's going on right now.
Here we are.
I always had chicks. This is the honorary trophy that they gave to me at the film short at the Crest. if I can remember the exact remark that the president of show business said, the only other actor
The president of show business
takes is Marlon Brando in Wild One. And then the door opened up and this trophy came in. And that's where I started crying like a little baby. Let's watch the movie, please. I'm just really nervous, and it can't happen.
I'm sure.
Yeah, here it's coming up.
Oh,
wait, I might have.
Yep.
I apologize. It's a podcast.
We're having fun.
I brought some cannolis for dessert.
Oh, look at this.
Harry's trophy.
Don! Put that motherfucker down! You guys got to just go watch it if you get the chance. It's called Windy City Heat. It's on YouTube for free. It's literally, if you love like Kevin's podcast and just yelling and screaming, you're going to love it.
Gavin McInnes said the greatest thing about that movie. He said, the problem is it's like crack cocaine. The euphoria you get after the first time you watch it, that you wish you get to that point of when you first watched it again. So if you've never seen it and you watch it the first time, it's the experience. Or you watch it with someone who's never watched it and just watch them go, what is this? What am I watching?
I want to watch it with somebody who's never seen it, because I would get so much joy out of their reaction to it. Like the first time, I forgot who told me about it. I think it was Florentine, maybe. No, it wasn't Florentine, but I knew Florentine he knows all those guys, like personally. Somebody had recommended that I see it, and I watched it, and I watched it twice. That's how good it was. And I remember like a couple days later, I'm at the Hollywood Improv, and Dane Cook's on the same show as me. And, I know him. He knows who I am. I'm not friends, but I guess we're a friendly acquaintance. And Dane would just go in, he'd go in the restaurant. He would just be on his phone the whole time. And I walked up to him. I go, "Hey, Dane." He goes, "What's up?" I go, "I just saw Windy City Heat." And he goes, "Oh, dude." And he was like so happy. I go, "It's one of the funniest things." He's like, "It's one of my favorite things I've ever done." He goes, I get such a charge when people say that to me. He goes, "I love that."
See, that's when, was it a few years ago when Jimmy Kimmel started crying about school shootings and was anti-gun and got really woke. And I'm like, dude, you were the big three. You were like in charge of a lot of this.
The Man Show
together. Not even just the Man Show, but like everything that was involved in that kind of universe, that
Prank Yankers,
Comedy
the original,
Central. Yeah.
When it was edgy.
It was good. And that's what was so frustrating, because I'm not going to say Jimmy Kimmel was the greatest host of all time, but if you watch those early Jimmy Kimmel lives back in like 03 to 05, when Bobcat Goldthwait, who was in the movie where
he directed Windy City Heat.
He did.
Yeah.
And he had the megaphone in the whole time, and he had his jodhpurs.
There's a million jokes like that. You can watch it 4 times and pick up on new things every time.
They were so good, and that's what was so frustrating when Howard Stern or Jimmy Kimmel go woke. You're like, that's not who you were. We liked when you were actually creative and you got an opportunity to do that, and now you're just complaining about Trump the whole time and January 6th and wearing masks and vaccines and stuff. It's like, oh man, you were Windy City Heat guy. That was their production company with Comedy Central that did that.
That's the problem with Jimmy Kimmel and Howard Stern, is they wanted to sit at the table with Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston in the Hamptons. And you can't forget what got you there. You can evolve, you can grow, but you got to understand your fan base. And when you start alienating your fan base, they're going to fight back. And that fan base will go on to other things. They'll find other people that are rebels and renegades like you guys once were, but they want to be douchebag celebrities. And I have no interest in that. I have no interest in supporting Jimmy Kimmel and Howard Stern now. It's over.
So you'd rather than be at the Hollywood parties, you'd rather have Ski Mask Collective on your podcast.
No, not him. He's a piece of shit.
I'm just saying that's the spectrums. It's like there's the, you know, the ski mask, and then there's like,
he's
I
not
want to
even
get the A-list.
He's not even in the discussion, but I'm saying I'd rather have somebody, I'd rather have like Lenny's printer. I'll go Lenny's printer. I'll go Aunt Mead, but I'd rather hang out with them. They're probably more interesting than fucking Neil Brennan. I know Neil Brennan. He's not that interesting. He's not that cool.
Yeah, that's what we always said about radio. It's you don't want to hang out with the guy on the radio. You want to hang out with the sales guy in the radio station because he's got cocaine. He's got he'll buy you shots. He'll buy rounds and everything. And and then when Kevin said it was hilarious when after the roast, when he's like, "Wait, you're Lenny's printer? Oh my God!" It's like
starstruck.
It's like Kevin knows Dave Chappelle. And he knows all these like top comics who know him, Michael J. Fox and everybody. And he's excited to meet Lenny's printer and Jim Stansel.
By the way.
And I love that, by the way.
I think Lenny's printer is hilarious. And when I found out his real name, it like kind of ruined it. It's like, oh, there's no Santa Claus. Like, so every time I talk to him, I was like, I don't want to know your real name again. I want to forget it.
Yeah, I'm not kidding right now because, and honestly, I don't really want to know their names. I don't know Jim Stansel's real name.
I do.
I don't know Joe Exotic's real name.
I don't even know what he looks like.
I don't know Atticus Flynn.
Dude, that
and
guy's
a lot of these other people.
I'm trying to get my password and username to my TikTok because I'm like, wait a second. I don't know you. I don't even know what you look like. Like, I don't know what you could be sending messages to people. And I I'm not, he seems like a nice enough guy, but at the same time, you're anonymous, man. I mean, I get you probably have a day job or whatever the situation may be, but you got to understand, like, listen, you're running my account, you're doing a good job, but I kind of would like to have access myself just to make sure,
Okay, we need who are the funniest fans of the Sit Down Zumock podcast?
Oh, there's a couple of them. I mean, we just named one right now. Let me pull up my Patreon. By the way, sign up to my Patreon. First of the month tends to drop off a little bit. So, and since I'm not doing MLC, you can support me at Sit Down Zumock on Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Let me look at some of the fans that leave funny comments in the tweets.
It's kind of like the cool. Ring of Honor too.
Yeah. Andrew Kemp's pretty funny. Hollywood Rob's pretty funny sometimes. Dominic Sin's like one of those funny. He's always like, he has my back no matter what. Like every tweet's like, I got Chad's back.
I've seen his tweet. He's a good follow. Yeah.
Yeah. And plus we had him on when he was hilarious when we did the Brian DeSecchi, the Brian McCarthy, when we uncovered it, like it was like some huge report. He was so serious during it. Like he like had his timeline. It was really, I mean, if you go back and watch it, I mean, I was giggling like a little kid. So because I was so ridiculous.
Man. I mean, that you got to be honest though. Like the fans, the ones who subscribe on Patreon, these are people that will take a bullet for you. These are people, and it's weird to think that because fans, especially in radio, are so fickle that if you said something against their favorite sports team, then they're going to say, "Oh, fuck you, Chad. I'm not coming to your events. I'm not supporting you. I'm listening to NCX or whatever." And, they come and go. But when you have people in this realm, and especially people who are paying for your content, I mean, they will live and die with you.
Yeah, no. And you try to build that relationship because, obviously they're the ones that help me and want me to continue to grow this and to push it. And same with you, without them, this is not a thing. So, I try to take care of them as best I possibly can because I want to make sure they're getting worth whatever. But like I always say, best way to support us is sign up to our Patreons because guess what? The industry's not hiring us. There's nobody, I'm not getting hired for the next Netflix special. I'm not getting hired at iHeartMedia anytime soon. So we're in this together. And that's how I look at it. So thank you for all your support.
And basically for me, I work at a radio station that I never promote because I'm barely on the air. But I'm on during the day basically to help fuel this because it's a passion project because, I don't have a ton of Patreon subscribers. Trust me, I really only have a few. but I do so because it's helping me. I'm getting better by each podcast. I'm staying controlled and staying focused when I do these. And it's really appreciative that, because again, as we talk about paying for Adobe auditions, like $35 a month, and paying to have your RSS feed and to put your podcast out is like $14-15 a month. And, this stuff kind of adds up, and, I don't mind doing it for free, but I prefer not to.
Right.
I mean, it's like my Patreon personally is not where I'm going to live off it. Trust me, I can't live off what I'm making on Patreon right now. I can barely afford, a dinner and a half what I make on Patreon, but it's a passion project, and I really appreciate the folks who are helping me through the passion.
Well, when Tim Dillon's making $150,000 a month, I don't think I'm out of line saying sign up for $3. I think I'm pretty, if you like it. And hey, Tony, do you mind if I put this one out for free next week?
Yeah, sure.
Just so people know what it is and give it a little exposure. And we do this every single Monday on both our Patreons. Tony and I, basically, the idea was we talk like once or twice a week, and this is our phone call. We just kind of shoot the shit. And I would always get off the phone going, these are entertaining phone calls. We should put this on a show. So it's Patreon content for us, but it's also fun to catch up with my friend and talk about the shit we were going to talk about anyway. But you guys are almost like listening, like eavesdropping, like we're on the phone.
Well, especially you never know who's going to be listening, because Florentine on Misery Loves Football is like, yeah, no one's going to be watching. No one's listening to this. And we got a bunch of people tweeting at us saying, hey, no, I'm listening, and I'll go see you guys next time you perform.
So yeah. If you sign up to Tony, sign up to mine. And again, we do this every single Monday. It's called Mondays with MAZUR, and I came up with it. I came up with the title, and I think it's a genius idea. I feel like I'm a program director doing it.
It's going to win a Cleveland Free Times award. I
remember when Bo Matthews sat me down at MMS and said, hey, what's your radio name going to be? I'm like, what do you mean? It's like, you got to come up with a name, man. Like Maxwell or Stansberry. And I go, wasn't Stansberry's last name? He's like, yeah, you want to be Zumock? I'm like, how about just Chad Zumock? Is that good? Like, I like that. My birth name.
By the way, the other day, speaking of regular radio, so Craig Gass was on Anthony Cumia's show, which, by the way, I got my Anthony Cumia bottle opener right there. Free plug.
It's appropriate.
And so Craig Gass basically it was a really cool interview, because it wasn't just a conversation. It was almost Craig was interviewing Anthony about the old O&A days and dealing with egos and dealing with Opie's ego and then talking about radio in general. And he kind of alluded to this story that we talk about with our good friend Andy Roth, the program director in Cleveland, that Craig Gass had to rattle off not only all of his impressions, but he was on Howard Stern, he was on Family Guy, he was doing this and this and this, and he's doing, I'm Gene Simmons, I'm Mike Lindell, I'm doing all these whatever. And Andy Roth said, no, we're not going to do that. And
he basically had to call the program director to get a green light to do the show. He had to go through his impressions.
Cleveland, Ohio. What Craig Gass was saying is that how regular radio has become that point where, unless the comedy club where he's performing at is spending money with the radio station, they're not going to have comics on. And that's such bullshit that you can't even have, like, let's say, for example, Jim Florentine's coming into Lincoln, Nebraska. The Lincoln, Nebraska radio station, like the rock station or the sports station, should absolutely have them on. But if they're not doing business with the comedy club that's in town, they say, sorry, we can't do that. No, we have to have sponsored segments. Then you say, this isn't entertaining. This is horse shit. No wonder every comic has a podcast right now, because of those awful radio spots that they've had.
Yeah, it's like the comics kind of took the power over. We took the power back. So
they made it entertaining. That's what it is.
Yeah,
we got the 5 o'clock funnies. Hey, Chad Zumock's performing at the Funny Bone this weekend. Chad, you're a Cleveland sports fan, aren't you?
You got rid of all the suits, and you got all the fucking people that ruin radio. You realize the two guys that hire me are out of fucking radio because they're fucking idiots. And I was thinking about this the other day. If somebody offered me $100,000 to go back, I would turn it down because of that.
Really?
Because I start thinking about all the bad stuff, not the good stuff. When the money's there, I'm like, I can't even fake it. So I just like freedom over money. But I also I was thinking about that the other day about doing
when I was on Kylie and Booms back in the day. And when I produced that show, someone would be like, well, it seems like a really cool job. You're like, yeah, it's a cool job for the 4 hours we're on the air. It's the 20 other hours that are just a grind.
Yeah.
It's dealing with the egos. It's dealing with late night phone calls. Why isn't this guest booked? You need to book this guy. Hey, cancel this person, this and that. And it just starts to add up. And you're like, God, I got no sleep last night. This isn't fun. So the only fun I have is during the 4 hours the show is on. And honestly, that's what Anthony said when he was with Opie, that the times that when him and Jimmy would go on a roll and Opie would just be playing Candy Crush, that was the only time the show was fun, was when you were actually doing the show. Everything else is you got to meet with the consultants, you got to meet with the program directors, you got to meet with the owners and the sponsors. It's like, God, I just want to do radio and go home. That's all I want to do.
I've had many, many, many conversations with Kumia about working with somebody so closely. And my stories with Alan Cox, like we could finish each other's sentences about him working with Opie and me working with Alan. Like I'd go to, and he would finish, like we had such a kinship with that. Like he knew exactly what I was going through, and the ways you would have to manipulate somebody into them thinking it was their idea and taking a bullet. Like, okay, do I want to use this here? Do I want to argue? Like it was like, we were like on the same fucking page. It is a grind, man. And even with MLC, I love Kevin Brennan to death. He's hilarious. I just needed a fucking break from that show because there's all the other shit that went along with the show. And then when some of the shows aren't like fun anymore, like I'm like, I need to get away from it for a little bit.
Like, what do you think Fred Norris does every day? Does he sit back and go, look, I got berated, or Gary, that you get berated by Howard all day long, on the air, off the air? Do you just look at your paycheck, like when that, the 15th and the 30th of the month come around, you go, all right, I'll suck it up. I'll keep going
absolutely.
with this job.
I guarantee they look at the check and they look at their homes and their ways of life, and they're like, all right, we'll just deal with it. And there are people that can do that. And, but I'm not, if I was making that money, I could pull it off too. Absolutely. 100%. I could fake it. I did it the last year I was on Alan's show. I just faked it.
But when you're making like, 50 grand or 30 grand a year, you'd be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I should just do this on my own, see where it goes from here. It's weird because we're telling this to people who work in offices or who work in construction or truck drivers that go like, yeah, I have stress too. And I throw my back out, I do this. And you're like, so Ed, all you're doing is talking and you're complaining about cracking jokes and talking. And it's like, it really, and Anthony was talking about the other day, it's like when you get done and you're cracking jokes for 5 hours, it is exhausting. How many times have you done these Monday shows with you and I, then you got another podcast and you have Misery Loves Company, and then you have this and that. It wears you down and you don't even realize it. Oh, you're just talking and joking with friends. It's a lot.
And here's the thing. I respect the plumbers, the construction workers, the landscapers that listen. But guess what? While you're doing those jobs, you're listening to us. You're trying to get through your day. So we're working to entertain you. So it's a two-way street. I respect what you do. Hopefully you can respect what we do, because as you trim the hedges or tar the roof, you're listening to us to get through it. So we're working together. We're a team.
Yeah, like, because especially morning radios, when you get up and you have to immediately, as soon as that alarm goes off, you have to think creatively. Like, not many people, I need my morning coffee, I need to do this. I mean, if I wanted to do that, I'd have to wake up at 1 o'clock every morning and work my way through the day. But I don't have that luxury. I have to wake up and be creative and produce and put something together. And I'm not taking anything away from anyone's jobs. It's just, we have a job too. And it's a lot more difficult than I think people realize. Now, I'll tell you this. So my brother, I just got the wedding video. So we got our wedding video the other day produced, and my brother gave the best man speech. Now, he's a couple of years younger than me. He's turning 30 next month. And he bombed. My brother bombed at my speech. Mm-hmm. He thought things were going to just click, and the crowd, everyone's just going to be laughing.
So you're not going to book him again?
No, he's a one and done, I think.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, he's like the TikTok stars who start doing stand-up. And he bombed. I mean, I'm sorry, like, Nick, if you're listening, it was not a good speech. It was, and here's the one thing is that he thought like, oh, I'm just going to be really short. And it turned into like a 10-minute speech of him just like, yeah, so Tony never did his homework growing up. And he thought these things were going to get like big applause. I'm like, it's because you're not in that arena. And when you're not in that arena of talking and making people laugh and creating content, you don't realize how difficult it is. And it was kind of like a crash course. You're doing so in front of, a couple of hundred people. If you were at my wedding, you probably would have came up to him and said, yeah, I'm not going to pay you for this performance. You don't get a drink. You don't get a drink ticket after the show. I wouldn't sell your merch after.
Speaking of which, I am using the month of August to get healthy and work on the podcast, get in the gym. But I do have one stand-up date, the 11th, August 11th through the 14th. I'm going to be back in Port Charlotte at Visani's Theater with Rich Voss. Yeah, it's going to be fun. So that's it. That's all I got this month. That's all I'm doing. And I'm just going to work on the podcast. So sign up to the Patreon, sign up to Kevin or Tony, sign up to Kevin's. Fuck it. You never know.
Why not? You're not in a war with Kevin.
No. It's just people like they want something bigger to happen, like a fallout, like with Brian or Lenny. I just didn't like, I wasn't getting, I felt like for the energy and time I was putting into it, I wasn't getting it in return. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just wasn't, that's why I'm like, sign up to my Patreon so I can make this worth my time. And there's episodes where I'm just sitting there. I'm just like, I'm disconnected because I don't care what the guest has to say. And then I get off and I get 23, you're a faggot emails, you're a piece of shit, and not one more Patreon. So I'm like, oh, fuck yourselves. I don't need it.
Yeah. So sign up to Chad's Patreon and then call him a faggot.
Yeah. All right, Tony. For Tony, I'm Chad Zumock. That's a wrap. We'll talk to you soon. Good night.